If your higher price care plans aren't converting, here are 3 reasons why. By the way, guys, my name's Phil and I help health professionals improve their sales and communication skills in clinic. Now, the first reason why your higher price care plans aren't converting is because people need both logical and emotional data before they move forward with a decision. Where a lot of clinicians go wrong is they expect the logical data to be enough for a person to invest in something that's higher priced. But even though patients can rationally understand why it would be a good idea, they still need the emotional experience or the data of knowing that this is the right decision moving forward. Now let's just expand a little bit on this point. Most people will logically understand that it is a good idea to do exercise. In fact, it would be a good idea to invest $50 to $100, even $200 a month on, say, personal training or some sort of health product to make sure that they stay healthy. The logic is sound. However, they may not actually have the emotional experience of either pain or trust to want to spend that money on that product. And that could be many things. Maybe they emotionally don't feel that $50 is worth it to spend on this particular product. Maybe they do feel that it is worth it. However, they just don't like spending money in general. So these are all emotional factors that have nothing to do with logic. Another example I could give you is buying a house. Now, most people can probably agree that investing in a home earlier is usually better than later, as house prices generally move up over time. But the emotional side of wanting to invest and spend, say, $100,000 or $200,000 on a deposit just doesn't sit right with enough people, and that's why they never get into the market to buy a house. So even though you may think that the logical reasons behind a treatment plan work, it doesn't always mean that the emotional experience is there yet. A final example I could give you is something like in dentistry. So in dentistry, if you have a root canal problem or your teeth is breaking, logically, the patients will look at it and think, yes, it makes sense for me to need to fix my tooth because I'm in pain, it causes bad breath, I don't like the aesthetic, I don't want to kiss my partner because they say I have bad breath. However, the procedure itself may be a little bit expensive, maybe it's like $1,000, and they don't feel comfortable spending $1,000 with you. They feel comfortable spending $1,000 on the procedure because they know it's necessary. However, you haven't gained their trust enough for them to want to work with you. So there's another factor of why they're not choosing to move ahead with the treatment. Now, the second reason that's tied to the first reason is that anything that's higher priced or even from a higher time scale usually requires far more commitment in terms of emotionally than something that's lower priced. Now let's break down this second reason a little bit more. The more commitment you ask from somebody, the more trust you have to build with them up front. So if I'm selling you a $2 pen marker, do I need to gain your trust? Not really. I just have to find you at the right time, at the right place, because you're looking for a pen marker, you'll buy it, and that's it. You don't need to know anything about me. Now let's just say I'm selling you a pair of headphones. Now this headphone was $100. The brand suddenly is important because if I'm going to spend $100, I want to spend it on something that is going to last and has proven quality. So now I need to build more trust with this brand before I'm going to purchase. Now let's just say you buy a $25,000 car. The difference between Toyota and something that is a bit newer brand of a car is that Toyota has maybe 50 to 60 years of established brand reputation, and that's why they can charge $25,000 for a sedan, and a newer car will charge, say, $18,000 because their brand hasn't been built up yet. This is just a very, very easy example of showing you how trust works. Now, it's the same thing when you're in clinic. If you're going to treat somebody for $2,000 for a root canal, or you're going to present a 6-month treatment plan as a psychologist, or even as a physiotherapist, you're going to present a 6-week treatment plan, these plans will be considered high-end because they're higher commitment for that profession. And so if you've never met this person ever, and they don't really know that much about you, it's highly unlikely they're going to want to commit to such a high commitment. So your job is to actually try and build trust. And the way you do this is actually just by offering a lower commitment option that ties into the bigger plan, so that after they experience the first 2 to 3 weeks of treatment with you, or the first 2 to 3 cleaning sessions, eventually they'll say, okay, I trust this guy, he's giving me good results in a short time, I'm ready to commit to a longer plan. And the third reason why you haven't been converting is because you don't ask again. After you've given somebody the emotional reasons and the logical reasons, if you don't just ask them again to see where they're at, they may never get the opportunity to say yes. Now, it's just human nature that people aren't used to asking for help. But if they also rejected the treatment in the first place, there might be a little bit of shame associated with being proven wrong. So it's the best course of action for you simply to ask, hey, so we've completed this lower cost treatment or lower care treatment. What do you think about this next treatment over here? Even in my own experience, especially as a personal trainer, I've had so many clients approach me for coaching where I start off with an initial question simply saying, so are you after something short term or are you after more of a long-term arrangement? And most of the time, if they've met me for the first time, they will say, look, I'm just after something short term. I don't want to be here forever. Just give me the basics so I can go off on my own. And I said, cool, no problem. I get people like that all the time. So what we can do is the initial 6-week beginner phase. After we get to about week 4, let's talk about your next steps. And if you want to continue with me, we can. If not, then I'll finish off the last 2 weeks and you'll be good on your own. And every time people say yes. But the important part is after I delivered the first 4 weeks of service, at week 4, I'm confident in what I delivered that they're going to want to continue. So what ends up happening is at week 4, I talk to them again and I say, hey, it's week 4 now, we got 2 weeks left, what would you like me to do? And almost every time they will say, hey, I'm really enjoying our sessions, can we extend because there's still so much more I want to learn. Now you can apply this same concept to whatever treatment you're providing in your profession. If you're a physio and you're treating somebody for lower back pain and you know it's going to take them 12 weeks, maybe the first thing you should start off with is, hey, the treatment plan usually for these cases is about 12 weeks. However, that is a big commitment up front. So why don't we just start with the first 4 weeks where we're going to just purely focus on your range of motion. And after we get to about week 3, we'll reassess where you're at and you can let me know how you want to proceed. How's that sound? Most of the time, they're going to say yes. The same thing can happen for, say, dentistry. If you want to pitch somebody a root canal procedure, and it's $2,000, maybe the first thing you should say is, hey, look, the way we treat this is with the root canal procedure. Now, it's up to you whether you want to commit to that something right away, because I know some people aren't ready to take a procedure that big. However, if you want some time to think about it, what we can do to address your symptoms in the meantime is put you through a few deep cleans and let's see how you respond. If you like it, we can talk about doing the root canal procedure. However, if you find that that's enough for you, then we can reassess you at a later date. How's that sound? Most of the time, if they wanted to take the root canal procedure, they would say yes. However, if they're on the fence, they'll just say, you know what, let's do a deep clean first. And after you've provided all that amazing treatment and it's time for them to reassess, all you've got to do is simply ask, hey, we've done our 2 deep cleans. How do your teeth feel? They'll say whatever. And then you can say, okay, well, moving forward from here, the next step would be to take the root canal procedure. What would you like to do? That's all you have to do. And if they say, yes, let's do root canal, boom, you just close the sale. If not, you say no problem, let me know when you're ready, here's my contact details, and if you don't mind, let me follow up with you in 2 weeks' time. Okay, and that's pretty much all you have to do. So the key theme is here. If you're gonna ask for something that's bigger, understand that unless you've already established some level of trust or emotional connection with this person, it's highly unlikely they're gonna convert unless they're in considerable amounts of pain. Implement these 3 changes in your next consult, and I guarantee you your conversions will increase.